Hello, BookTube. I've got a little bit of mail for you, just a bit. The mail seems oddly late today. Bright blue sky day, wonderful Monday, fluffy white clouds, all maybe going to end. Though some of the latest weather forecasts that I'm seeing, the weather data that I'm seeing, looks like a return of winter this week, later this week, when suddenly the days don't get above freezing Fahrenheit. I'll believe it when I see it. I think winter's back has been broken. It's not going to feel like winter, even if the days are cold. And this might be the last gasp, and then warmth will come. But it's been an absolutely wonderful day. Just wonderful. It is such a wonderful feeling to have my tech under control. One of the tasks that I wanted David Murphy to help me with when he was here is get my tech under control. He did a huge amount of work along those lines. Just a huge amount. It's almost like he found noodling around on my old tech and seeing what was happening on each device preferable to talking with me. I don't know, that couldn't be true, but he did a huge amount of work, and now it feels like I've got a weight lifted off my shoulders. Now I know what tech I'm using and what tech I'm not using. It feels wonderful. So I've been doing a lot, getting a lot done today, but I thought we'd stop for mail. I need to lavish my imaginary booktube trend. It's 5 videos a day. You all did without 5 videos a day while he was here. So I figured we'd just do the mail that we have here. It's a weird feeling package. There's one package and one periodical. The periodical is Harpers. And even the cover of Harpers infuriated me. I haven't read this issue yet except for the letters column, but even the cover infuriated me. Like this, for instance, Lunch with the QAnon Shaman. There's a whole article here, I'm sure, where a Harper's writer talks with the guy who is well known as the QAnon Shaman. Even if you don't live in America, you'll know face painted red, white, and blue, Viking helmet on, shirtless in the Capitol on January 6th, yelling and making war cries and whatnot. He gets to sit down with a Harper's writer and talk, even though he shouldn't be able to do that. And the reason he shouldn't be able to do that is not because he's still in jail. He shouldn't be alive. But he is still alive, and he is a free man. And I am sure this article is going to say, the underlying theme of this article is going to be, well, isn't he a little wacky? He's not a little wacky. He's a traitor. He's a traitor. He should have been hanged in a prison yard. He shouldn't be alive. Instead, he's free to give twee interviews to Harper's. That's annoying thing number one. And annoying thing number two is the big piece here. Crime and punishment. Can American policing be fixed? And I'm sure that it's going to be a whole bunch of talking head experts coming in and wringing their hands about all kinds of aspects of we have to study the sociology of and the crime rates of and whatnot. When, yes, American policing can be fixed. Very much so. If a number of very concrete things are done across the board, not precinct by precinct, not state by state, just across the board. Number one, qualified immunity has to go. There's a concept for those of you who don't live in America or don't live in the handful of states that have abolished it. It's qualified immunity is a legal concept where cops can break the law and they're sort of covered under the mantle of the office of the police. That should be gone. The law is the law for everybody. No qualified immunity anymore. So if you shoot somebody, I don't care what costume you're wearing, I don't care how much badge you have on, that should go. In order for that once that's gone, the next thing we need is for lawyers to pierce the so-called blue wall. None of this teamwork, none of this cops covering for cops. So get rid of qualified immunity, break down the blue wall, and the last thing, of course, dashboard and shoulder monitor cameras for everybody at all times. Everybody at all times. A dashboard camera to show what you are seeing. A little lapel camera to show what you are seeing. Either that, if you don't want that, then have a videographer with you. To show what you are doing. Every minute of what you are doing. And also hand in hand with that, in order to fix American policing, if you have a dashboard camera, and I'm looking straight at you, deep south of America, if you have a dashboard camera and you're out on patrol, and there is any break in the dashboard camera footage of any kind, if the break is longer than 5 minutes for any reason, even if it looks like you're just on the highway, if your dashboard camera goes out for more than 5 minutes, based on that lacunae, based on the fact that your camera wasn't working, your DA charges you with first-degree murder. Simple as that. Not technical difficulties, not, I'm telling you, nothing happened. If your dashboard camera cuts out for any reason, you are, by that reason, charged with first-degree murder. The police will get fixed pretty quick if you do those things. But instead, they are roving bands of unaccountable mercenaries with war surplus superweapons at their disposal. They don't open their budgets to inquiry. They don't open their activities to inquiry. They can shoot someone 5 times in the head in the morning and be expected to be out on the job the next day with not even anyone bringing up the subject of them losing their pension, much less going to jail for the rest of their lives. There has to be a videographer willing to risk everything, actually filming someone murder someone in order for any kind of heat to be brought. That has to stop being piecemeal. That has to start being universal. Once the police are seen as subject to the law, instead of imposing on others, the police won't need so much fixing. There's nothing you can do about institutional racism, except just weed these people out. It'll be a generational thing. I guarantee you that 2 generations from now, if America is still a free country, police, even in the Deep South, will be far less racist than they are now. I guarantee that. Simply because racism is often a generational thing, and the really virulent parts of it will age out. The newer generation, the younger generations have phones. They have phones. They have friends of all skin colors. I don't believe it will be a problem. Maybe that's naive on my part. But for right now, the number one way to fix American policing is accountability, which only barely exists in a piecemeal way. Get rid of qualified immunity and insist on dashboard cameras. And if anything goes wrong with that camera, we are going to assume that when that camera was not working, you were shooting an innocent civilian. We're going to assume that. So it's in your best interest to make sure there are no lacunae. It's in your best interest to make sure this thing is working all the time. But anyway, see, I'm already worked up on the article. I haven't even looked at it yet. But I wanted to read you a dispute is arising in the letters page that comes from an earlier article in Harpers that I believe I vented about at the time. Harpers ran a weird piece about Israel. I have to confess, in their own defense, a lot of mainstream newspaper and journalism and magazine pieces about Israel in the last 7 or 8 months have been downright weird for obvious reasons. The world, at least the part of the world that's paying attention, is being steadily, daily traumatized by the subject of Israel. So it makes perfect sense to me that writers would be coming up with these anguished think pieces. I thought the piece that they ran was by, it was called Israel's War Within, and it was by Bernard Abashi. And I thought it was particularly torturous. And I'm not going to sound off on the subject, especially in a letter to an editor that might get printed. So I kept my peace, but I wasn't happy about Abashi's piece at all. I couldn't quite put my hand on why. And a writer wrote in, a contributing editor to Harpers named Vince Passaro, wrote in a scathing letter, tearing Abashi's piece apart. I wanted to read you. At one point, he says, Abashi asks, as if it still is a question, what kind of nation Israel will be? The answer is in. Check the pictures on your phone. It's the kind that establishes safe zones for civilians, then bombs them and cheers in the streets. Which is pretty savage. His letter is pretty savage. And Abashi responds, a little bit cowardly on the part of the people at Harper's here. The letters page jumps from the first page of the magazine all the way to page 77. This is an important debate. This might be a case where you could rearrange your layout so that your readers don't have to dig into the back half of the magazine to get to the rest of the letters. Just in this case, just saying, I would not have made that decision. I would have run the whole letters page from front to back. That's all it is. It's just people responding to Abashi's piece and then him responding to them. Put it all up front. Don't break it. It's too important. But his response to Vince Passaro starts out a little bit condescending and kind of stays that way. He starts out, this made my blood boil, and I don't know if it'll provoke a response from Passaro. He says, Vince Passaro writes in a state of fury, and then in parentheses he says, I suspect he is feeling better. Like that letter, that prose that we just heard was a child's outburst. And now you've got it out of your system, I suspect you're feeling better. Say what you want about this subject, but it doesn't call for flippant comments like that. It doesn't. Found it fascinating. I always do. There's always something in Harper's that gets my attention. We'll see if I can keep my blood pressure level when I read that policing article. It's a little bit of a soft spot for me. But then let's look at the package, because it's got an odd heft to it. It feels almost like there are 2 books in here. Publishers sometimes do that. So We can see what's going on here. What is this? Am I right that it's 2 books? Oh, there's a bunch of stuff in here. What is going on here? There's a bunch of stuff. Is there a note? What is this? Oh, that's right. One of you said that you would send this. Oh, but you said other things as well. Oh my. Oh, this is very nice. All right, this is one of you sent me a Conan care package. How wonderful. It's just a brief exchange. I didn't know there was going to be a whole bunch of stuff in here. Okay. Wow, incredible. All right, little context here. Well, I did a long video about Titan Books did a Savage Sword of Conan first issue. It's been going the rounds on BookTube and also Comic Book YouTube. A whole bunch of people are doing reviews of the issue. I myself think that a whole bunch of those people have been letting the issue off the hook. Even when the YouTubers in question are friends of mine, I still think they've been a little easy on this thing. In fact, a lot easy on this thing. I've heard a lot of YouTubers, including people I don't know, who are knowledgeable about Conan, say that the lead story in Savage Sword of Conan #1 was good. It is not. It's not just a question of bad printing. It's a bad story. It's a really bad story. But nevertheless, it's been getting a lot of attention. And when I made that video, one of you emailed me and said, what about Roy Thomas's book, The Life of Conan the Barbarian? Not his comic books. In that video, I somewhat scandalously said that I think that Roy Thomas is the best Conan writer of them all, including Robert E. Howard. And I've seen the Roy Thomas Life of Conan, but I've never owned it. If I did, I don't think I've ever owned it. And one of you actually sent it to me. This is from Pulp Hero Press. This is a new reprint of Roy Thomas's Barbarian Life, The Life of Conan the Barbarian. Isn't that incredible? How incredibly nice. This is volume 1. This is volume 2. And then we have volume 3. These are going right on the top of the read list. This is something I have not read in quite some time, if I've read the whole thing at all. How absolutely wonderful. So this is Roy Thomas's Barbarian Life, the life of Conan the Barbarian, and his experiences with Conan, writing both Conan the Barbarian and the Savage Sword of Conan for a decade. Incredible. But there's also more. There are more Conan goodies in here. What have we got here? Okay, this is Marvel Comics. This is the official handbook of the Conan universe. I've never seen this thing. Never even seen it. It's all black and white. It's just factual. It's just entries like an encyclopedia on different aspects of Conan. Oh, gods and worship. Look at that. I have never seen this before. I hope the center won't mind, but I really don't do boards and bags. I really don't. I'm hard on my things, but I'm never going to remember to put this back in there. And then what is this? What is this? Oh, wow. It's a Conan-centric issue of Back Issue magazine, celebrating the 50th anniversary of Roy Thomas and Barry Windsor Smith's Conan the Barbarian #1. This is Back Issue magazine from years ago. Look, as you can see, it's the Blu-ray of the Teen Titans. Oh, wow. So this will have a lot of other Back Issue related stuff. Like there's an old issue of Peter Parker, the Spectacular Spider-Man there with a Gil Kane cover. But this will also have lots of stuff about Robert E. Howard. Oh, boy. And his Conan stuff. And Roy Thomas. Wow. Oh, man. Fantastic. Oh, this is going to be such great reading. Look at that. There's Spider-Man teaming up with both King Kull and Red Sonja. Great. Just great. Well, I didn't make a point of reading Back Issue magazine, but every issue of Back Issue that I've read, I've actually really liked. So those are neat extras. Thank you very much. Good Lord. Okay, well, there you go. That was the mail. There's a lot more mail coming today. I don't know where it is, but there's a lot more mail coming. But in the meantime, I have a lot of Conan stuff to read, and that's never a bad thing. The official handbook to the Conan universe, a Back Issue magazine almost totally devoted to Conan, and best of all, Roy Thomas's Barbarian Life. What a thing. What an amazing thing. If I remember correctly, the person went out of their way to say that they had a copy, they weren't spending any money on me. You absolutely should not spend any money on me. except postage. Well, that certainly perked me up. Thank you so much. Whoever you are, I will find you in my email. And thank you. Wonderful. What a mail haul. The rest of the day's mail is going to have to wait until tomorrow. I'm not going to open it without you, but it's going to have to work hard to overcome this Monday. So I'll wrap this up for now, and I'll see you next time. Thank you, BookTube.